Welcome to the Sent from Disneyland podcast.
Here age relives fond memories of the past.
If it's your first time joining us, welcome. On this episode, we'll take a journey into the past and explore Disneyland and Disneyland history with mementos, snapshots, and postcards sent from Disneyland from 1955 to the present. Today I'm starting off by thanking my patrons from patreon.com. You can join and receive mail from my desk or from my Disneyland trips. Special thanks to Random Olive, the first patron to this podcast, and to the e-ticket patrons Tania, Eric Daniels, Joe Gamble, Scott Booker, Monica Seitz Vega, Russ Romano, Michael and Christina Cross, Scott Cagle, and Sheila Harry. C-ticket patrons Serious Inquiries Only, Debbie Weinstein, Jennifer Schneep, Grace Coate, Brian Crawford, Ben and Noel Bruning, Patty Wolin, Angela Reynolds, Greg Gorley, and Aaron Moran. B-ticket patrons Jeff and Paige Orton, and Joshua, and Exorable Tosh Bell. And the A-ticket patrons Elise Sharp, Zealot Infinity, Alexis Robles, Maggie and Henry Byers, Angel DeBlock, and the All Aboard podcast. You can also sign up for my new newsletter for a chance to get some postcards delivered by the USPS to your mailbox. I am your host, your post-host Clocky, and today we have 2 postcards sent from Disneyland. The front of our first postcard has a pool at the Disneyland Hotel. You can see guests in and surrounding the pool, and around the property you can see palm trees. On the back it reads, Disneyland Hotel, Anaheim, California, the official hotel at Disneyland. Now over 300 rooms, each with TVs and accommodating up to 4 persons, hotel tram service to Disneyland main entrance, complete recreation area, special children's menus at coffee shop and restaurants. It's postmarked June 13, 1961, with an Anaheim cancel and a 4-cent Lincoln postage stamp, Scott number 1036. I assume they visited the park on Tuesday, June 13, 1961, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to midnight. The weather was a high of 75 and a low of 59. Park attendance that day was 18,586. It's addressed to Miss Helen Schroeder of Shawando, Wisconsin, or Tucson, Arizona. It reads, Hi, spending some time here and in San Francisco with Shane. Lotta and I are coming by to visit you this summer. Love, Frida. This past week, I had the opportunity to attend a conference at the Disneyland Hotel, so for this episode, I thought it'd be fun to do a quick recap of my trip and conference experience. My wife Misty and I both went on this trip and flew down to the Long Beach airport first thing in the morning. We caught a lift directly to the Disneyland Hotel. I can't remember the last time I stayed at the hotel, but it was likely in the 80s or 90s. We were able to check in at 9 a.m. and got our hotel room in the Frontierland Tower. It was great walking up to the 1967 fun map and walking over the pool and into the Frontierland Tower. In the lobby of the Frontierland Tower, there's an amazing model of Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, along with couches, chairs, and stools, with a western and leather look. I noticed every time I walked through the lobby, there were always 3 round stools making a hidden Mickey in one of the conversation areas. We went up to the 9th floor and saw the wood inlay border around the elevator area. The inlay included different Frontierland icons, like a goat chewing dynamite, a banjo, a ship's wheel, cactus, horseshoes, canoes, oars, cowboy boots, and more. Once we got into our room, we looked out the window to see a view of Pixar Place Hotel, the Simba parking lot, and if you look closely, some of the attractions at the far end of Disney California Adventure. The rest of Sunday we spent at the parks for Donald's birthday, seeing friends like Jamie, April, and Angela. We explored the new hotel entrance into Disney California Adventure and Pixar Pier. Misty, Angela, and I went to Trader Sam's for a break from the park and to try the new Matterhorn Dole Whip. The souvenir cup was really well done, and the Dole Whip was slightly different from the Dole Whip in the park. I'm sure the recipe is the same, but they might be made slightly different. The Trader Sam's version tastes a little sweeter and a bit creamier. At the end of the day, we caught Fantasmic and saw most of the fireworks from Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. The next morning, I woke up and headed down to the conference in the convention center in the Disneyland Hotel. Breakfast was served in one of the ballrooms. I grabbed breakfast and sat by myself at a table for about 8 to 10 people. While sitting there, I had an amazing conversation with a cast member, which I'll talk about at the end of this episode. I attended the keynote and the morning presentations, after which lunch was served. Lunch was equally impressive and included a chicken and fish option as well as a variety of small desserts. Towards the end of the afternoon, there was a snack offered for the conference goers, which included 3 different churros, a classic churro, an Oreo cookie churro, and a pineapple churro, as well as chocolate and caramel sauces. That night, there was a welcome reception on the Adventureland lawn, which included a live DJ, flower performers, a 360 photo booth, and a tarot card reader. Walking into the reception, there was loud music and a line for the free gift for the conference attendees. In the center of the reception was a hosted bar with oversized hooks decorated with vine garland and holding chandeliers on each corner. There were multiple food stations, and 4 women dressed as flowers danced around the DJ, with petals surrounding their waist, flowing around them, creating a fan behind their back like a peacock, and continuing around the front of their legs. I didn't experience the 360 photo booth, but I did talk to the tarot card reader at the end of the night. Great news! Enfield Post is back up on Etsy. Grabbing some vintage stamps is a great way to plus your mail, whether you're trying to match the color of your postcard or envelope, or adding a themed stamp to the back of your mail. Be sure to check out Enfield Post. You can head over to EnfieldPost.com and explore all the different vintage stamps you can use on your next card or letter. That's ENFIELDPOST on Instagram and EnfieldPost.com for your wedding and vintage postage needs. Enfield Post is the official postage stamp sponsor of the Sent from Disneyland podcast. The front of our next postcard has a view from the top of the Matterhorn. Looking down, you can see the Submarine Lagoon, Monorail Yellow, Autopia, the People Mover, the motorboat cruise, one of the Matterhorn mountain climbers, and the top of one of the Skyway gondolas. On the back it reads, Tomorrowland, a panoramic view of Tomorrowland as seen from high atop mighty Matterhorn Mountain. As an alpine climber approaches the summit, far below, a sleek monorail train crosses the submarine lagoon on their journey through the world of the future. Its postmark and cancel are obscured, and was sent with a 6-cent Eisenhower postage stamp, Scott number 1393. Based on the stamp, let's assume they visited the park on Sunday, June 14, 1970, when park hours were from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. The weather was a high of 72 and a low of 53. It's addressed to Mr. and Mrs. Eugene C. Ballinger of Lititz, Pennsylvania. It reads, The weather out here is ideal for a vacation, and I have certainly been enjoying every day of it. Disneyland is such an unbelievable experience, everyone should come here once in a lifetime if they can. Best wishes, Sylvia. The next morning, breakfast included Mickey waffles, made fresh. There were 2 options, red velvet and a vanilla cinnamon waffle, along with toppings like strawberries, whipped cream, butter, syrup, and an apple compote. Lunch was similar as the day before, and included a beef short rib instead of fish. I wasn't sure what to expect for the snack on the second day, but I was surprised to find Mickey-shaped pretzels, pretzel bites, nacho cheese, mustard, and assorted chocolates to help conference goers power through to the end of the day. The conference concluded with a champagne toast at the Disneyland Grand Ballroom. I ended the day at the park and proceeded to enjoy the park the next day until I had to fly out. Going back to the first conference breakfast, the cast member who was assigned to my table area chatted with me about some Disneyland history. He had worked for the park in the late 70s, 1990s, and is currently working there for his 3rd time since the early 2000s. We were discussing the first time he worked at the parks as a dishwasher for the Tahitian Terrace. This was in the late 70s, and he had mentioned that there was a tree that grew in the center of the original Disneyland parking lot. He had heard that the tree was there because the original farmers who owned the land in that section of the parking lot had stipulated that the tree should stand there as it was a grave marker for their family dog. Eventually the tree died and had to be removed, and then in the late 1990s, the entire parking lot was replaced, and in 2001, Disney's California Adventure opened. I'm not sure if this story is true or a myth, but while talking to him, I looked through my photo archive and found a tree exactly where he had mentioned, in the middle of the parking lot and next to a tower that connected the park to electrical lines. He confirmed that that was the tree. This incoming postcard is sponsored by the Art Throwdown. Art Throwdown, or ATD, is an online craft hour on Instagram, starting at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Be sure to check out Monday's ATD, which is usually hosted by paper artist Russ Romano. I see many amazing art projects, learned about awesome postmarks, postage stamp history, and a lot more on different episodes. It's great to stop in for an hour to watch someone craft or design something unique. Each host brings something a little different to each show. I'll list some of the regular hosts, or you can follow Russ Romano 2021 on Instagram. The front of my incoming postcard has concept art of Flick from A Bug's Life, with a leaf hat, a full backpack, and ready for adventure. It's postmarked May 6, 2024, with the Sacramento Cancel and 3 postage stamps, an 8-cent Rise of the Spirit of Independence, an 8-cent Peace Corps with doves flying out of the American flag, and a 37-cent 1952 Nash Henley motorcar postage stamp, Scott numbers 1478, 1447, and 3934 respectively. It reads, 5 May 2024, sunny, 65 degrees. Hello, thanks so much for your recent DCA card. I hope you've been enjoying your park adventures. I love spring in Sac, except for the pollen and the crazy allergies. Last weekend, I loved shopping at local bookstores for Indie Bookstore Day. Cheers, Angeli. Thank you so much for the postcard, Angeli. I had other friends who went on the Indie Bookstore crawl around Sacramento. If you're in town next Friday or Saturday, Stage 9 in Old Sacramento will be having a tiki-related event. I'll be attending Friday night and maybe stopping by again on Saturday. One quick addition to my trip, I had many people asking about the Sparkle Pickle Lemonade. Where it wasn't my favorite, I did enjoy it, I just wish there was more sparkle or Sprite in the mix. Thanks for listening to Sent from Disneyland. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and tell your friends. It would be helpful to share your favorite episode to a friend or on social media. There are over 200 to choose from. It would also help to leave a 5-star rating and comment at whatever podcast platform you use. If you'd like to support the show financially, please check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/sentfromdisneyland. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Sent From Disneyland, or on Twitter at Sent From Disney. For questions and comments, send me a postcard addressed to Sent From Disneyland, P.O. Box 44, Hood, California, 95639. This podcast is not affiliated with Disney, the United States Postal Service, or any post office or Disney properties. Opinions expressed on this podcast belong to its host and guests of the Sent from Disneyland podcast.